Coming up in this video, the supplements I take and why you might want to take them too to feel superhuman. Hey everybody, it's Kalymnios here from thethoughtgym.com, here helping you become that superhuman leader that I know that you can be. And a big part of that is what you put into your body. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about supplements because I get asked about supplements all the time, and I thought it would be really useful for you if I just compiled everything together, put it into this video, what supplements I take currently and why, and maybe it might give you some ideas about whether you want to adopt some of this as well. Before I tell you what supplements I take, let me give you a word about supplements in general. There will be people out there who will say, well, I think you should get all your needs from your foods. And I agree. The sad reality is that that doesn't really happen. Even if you are having a large portion of veg, I mean the 5 that are recommended, which isn't too much anyway, but even if you were getting the 5 or even 10 portions of veg a day, chances are that the food that you're getting is not going to be as nutritious as it could possibly be. In fact, the food today is way less nutritious than it was 100 years ago. Main reason for that is the degradation of the topsoil, of the soil that is actually giving the life to the fruit and the veg. Also over farming, monocropping, pesticides, herbicides, chemicals coming into the environment, thousands of new chemicals each and every year. So all of these things combat the fact that your food is not going to be as nutritious as it could be. Added to that, the daily stresses of modern life, which we weren't really designed for, to be honest. And there are so many things that are working against us that actually we will need a bit of supplementation. Even if your diet is exceptionally good, it will be very rare because you'd have to be eating so controlled to know exactly what's coming into you that it's very likely that you might get deficient in something or another. And for the first supplement I'm going to talk about, even if you're eating the best diet in the world, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, even if you live in the equator and you don't get out enough, then you're going to be deficient in this vitamin. And if you can guess it, I'm sure you have, it is in fact vitamin D. So it's actually a hormone. What happens is the sunlight that hits us then creates the vitamin D that we need. But the challenge is that we don't get enough sunlight. Now I have heard reports that you can store it up by just being exposed during the summer months, maybe May to September, but I'm not sure if that's technically true or not. So my recommendation is to supplement vitamin D throughout the year really, but especially during the winter months. Even if you're in the equator, chances are, unless you're outside enough, you're probably going to be deficient as well. The vitamin D is super important because it is what is really needed for calcium in order to keep your bones nice and strong. So we need vitamin D in order to keep our bones strong, not just calcium. And if you're not getting enough, then you're going to be at problems and at risk of things like osteoporosis later on in life. So important to strong bones, it helps with the absorption of calcium, like I said, phosphorus, the balance of all those minerals in our system. And it's also suggested to have protective effects against things like cancer, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes. And according to a study published in a magazine or journal called Circulation, it also has the effect of decreasing your chance of developing heart disease. It also helps you reduce the likelihood of developing the flu, according to a 2010 research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. So there's a whole host of benefits. It also might play an important role in warding off depression. It affects your mood. And in one study, scientists discovered that those who had depression, when they received vitamin D supplements, they in fact noticed an improvement in their symptoms. And another study of people with fibromyalgia, researchers found that vitamin D, in fact, deficiency was more common in those who were experiencing anxiety and depression. So vitamin D can be super important for your mood, as well as your bones, your teeth, and a whole host of things which we probably haven't even discovered yet. So you want to get your vitamin D supplementation in. There probably is a question about how much vitamin D that you might need to get in. I was taking a vitamin D supplementation which wasn't very big before because it was part of another supplement I had. So I've opted to take an additional vitamin supplement. It's probably a bit blurry here. This one is a vitamin D3, and each capsule, which is a tiny little capsule, is in fact 2,000 international units. From the research I've done, it seems that around 4,000 international units seems to be a number that is rested on by many experts to suggesting that what we need. So I'm currently taking 4,000 international units of vitamin D3, which is traditionally the kind of animal-based vitamin D, although this is plant-based vitamin D. You can get plant-based vitamin D3 from things like mushrooms, in fact, which are very much closer to us as humans than they are to plants, in fact, the fungi family. But in any case, vitamin D3 is being tested on more studies on vitamin D3 than vitamin D2. So I would suggest getting vitamin D3, get a plant-based one if you are plant-based, and maybe 2,000 or 4,000 units a day. I'm going to say and caveat this entire video though that I am not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, so don't take anything that I'm saying today as medical advice. Obviously seek the advice of an expert or a professional in that area, who may or may not be a doctor, but someone who really knows their stuff if you're going to make drastic changes. That being said, what is the other supplementation that I take? The next really important one that I take is vitamin B12. There are two main types of vitamin B12, methylcobalamin and cyanocobalamin, I think they're pronounced. Vitamin B12, super important, and if you are plant-based, strict vegetarian, strict vegan, then it's very difficult to get enough B12 in your system. I know there are some algae, spirulina, you may have nutritional yeast, things like that with B12 in them, maybe even fortified foods, but these are super cheap. For the sake of vitamin B12, which if you are deficient in vitamin B12, which you inevitably will be if you're not eating animal products, then you're going to notice it. It's super important. You really want it for your energy, if nothing else. So you've got to get that vitamin B12 in there. It may be the elephant in the room when it comes to a vegan diet. However, you know, animals don't really produce that much of it either. They get a lot of it from the bacteria that they're consuming. That's where we may have got it in the past as well. Fact is, we need vitamin B12, so whether you get that from animal sources or from a supplement, my recommendation is to make sure that you have enough. And if you are vegan, do get your levels tested by your doctor, and regardless of which, my advice, again, seek your own advice from an expert, but would be to supplement with B12 as well. These capsules I take maybe on a Monday and a Thursday, once or twice a week. Probably only once a week is enough. It's 83,000 times your daily needs here, because you're taking it once a week, which means actually the tiniest amount actually gets absorbed. You don't need much B12 per day. So I take that, I take it sublingually, so I put it underneath my tongue, and it kind of dissipates throughout the next sort of 20 minutes or so, which is a great way of getting it right into the system. So this is what I started taking probably only about 2 or 3 years after I became plant-based, but I definitely recommend taking vitamin B12. And it's not just for vegans and vegetarians, because especially those who are over 50, 60 years old, their ability to absorb B12 from food items depletes massively, and they're probably going to be deficient as well. So if you are of advancing or wisdom years, then you need to be getting some B12 supplementary sources in. It would be my suspicion. Next up, what I have recently started taking, literally in the last couple of months, has been an actual vitamin B complex. So this has got all the vitamin Bs in there as well. B1 and B2, B6, B5, because vitamin B, these are essential nutrients that help convert our food into fuel effectively and allow us to stay energized throughout the day. So B vitamins are required to help increase your energy, support your brain health, enhance your mood, improve your memory, ease your stress, stimulate the immune system, boost hair, and boost health and skin health in general, as well as enhance your heart health, alleviate anxiety, soothe skin disorders. So there is a whole variety. This is the one I currently take from Jarrow formulas. So each B vitamin is essential to different bodily functions. So I'll just go through a few of them, just so you've got them on record here. But B1 and B2 are important for healthy functioning of the muscles, nerves, the heart. B1 helps the body make new cells. B2 is important for red blood cell production and fighting free radicals. Then you've got B3, which helps regulate the nervous and digestive systems and helps convert food into energy. B5 breaks down fats and carbohydrates for energy and is responsible for the production of hormones. Then you've got B5 and B12, which are also required for normal growth and development. B6 supports the immune system, helps the body produce hormones and aids the body in breaking down of protein. B7 is involved in the production of hormone. B9 also helps the cells make and maintain DNA and promotes the growth of red blood cells. B12 helps regulate the nervous system, plays a vital role in red blood cell formation. B1 may also help prevent kidney disease in people with type 2 diabetes and reduce the risk of cataracts. B2 may also prevent migraines. B3 helps boost HDL cholesterol, which is the kind of quote-unquote good cholesterol that you can get, and lowers general overall cholesterol levels. B6 may help prevent against heart disease, relieve premenstrual symptoms, alleviate pregnancy-related nausea. B7 is associated with healthy skin, hair and nails. B9 may help prevent breast cancer, colorectal cancer, pancreatic cancer, as well as disease risk of birth defects when taken by pregnant women. And B12 may help prevent confusion in older adults and reduce levels of homocysteine, which is a number that you don't want very high. B vitamins are water soluble, which means it's hard for you to take too many because you will just effectively pee them out. That being said, like all the advice in this video, do seek the advice of an expert in this area, because it may be that you don't need to take any B vitamins. I probably, in truth be told, I have a lot of veg a day, upwards of 15 portions to 25 portions of veg a day when you combine my juice, my smoothie and all the food that I consume throughout the day. So I'm getting a hell of a lot more than most people, and I'm still currently supplementing. So if you're not getting that much veg in you, then chances are you're probably going to have to look at some area of your life and maybe look at supplementing in some or many areas of your life. All right, next up, what am I taking? I'm taking these currently, which are some probiotics. This one has got 10 different strains of probiotics. So it's not just one, it's 50 billion per capsule, which is way more than many others. So what are probiotics? They're effectively bacteria that line your digestive tract and help support your body's ability to absorb nutrients and fight infection. And there's in fact actually 10 times more bacterial cells in your body than there are human cells. You are in fact mostly not human. There's less human DNA in you than bacterial DNA. Historically, we may have got plenty of probiotics in our diet from eating fresh foods from good soil, and remember the soil isn't so good these days, and also fermenting our own food. So you can get a lot of probiotics from fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut, which I recommend. Always food first when you can. I, even with the best will in the world, don't always have it, don't always buy it, and so as an insurance, to have that is a good idea, I think, to have the probiotics. But nowadays we've got refrigeration, we've got dangerous agricultural practices, soaking foods in chlorine to clean them, and our food contains very little probiotics these days, and most foods actually contain dangerous antibiotics, especially if you are eating animal products. There's a good chance that that animal has been fed antibiotics regardless of whether they were ill or not, because farmers have known for decades that when you give an animal antibiotics, it helps increase their weight. And if you're struggling with weight, maybe it's the antibiotics in the meat that you're eating, who knows? But the fact is that there is a prevalence of antibiotics, and think about what antibiotics actually means. Antibiotics means anti-life, against life. And what happens when you take an antibiotic is like a neutron bomb or a hydrogen bomb or a nuclear bomb. It will obliterate everything, good and bad, good bacteria and bad bacteria inside of your intestinal tract. And so what you need to be taking, and what they used to prescribe, I think, was probiotics as well as antibiotics. So pro-life versus anti-life. And at the moment, we're just given anti-life tablets, and those are being given out way too much, both to animals and to humans, to the fact that we've got a real problem now with their effectiveness. But the problem is it's also creating real gut issues. And the fact is, this microbiome, this little diverse community of creatures, if you like, in your body, a bit like a rainforest, they need food, they need to be healthy, and we're not doing our best with them. So your gut is super important. It's estimated that anywhere from up to like 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. So if you don't have a healthy gut, you don't have a healthy immune system either. So a good way to do that is to have probiotics. So what else probiotics good for? Well, they are been shown to have an anti-inflammatory potential. They're good, like I said, for boosting the immune system, preventing and treating urinary tract infections, helping the digestive function of your body. So many people have got issues with IBS. It can help heal that. Manage and prevent eczema in children, fighting foodborne diseases and illnesses as well. You know, and many people who have got health issues like thyroid imbalances, chronic fatigue, joint pain, psoriasis, autism, and many other conditions don't realize that these illnesses originate in the gut. And there are around 500 to 2,000 different species of microorganisms. And like I said, 10 times as many microbes as there are human cells in the body. In fact, the microbes have 360 times more protein coding DNA than we do. And in fact, more than 40 different diseases have been linked to bacterial imbalance, including depression, arthritis, IBS, and cancer. So by adding probiotic foods into your diet and also possibly supplements, you could see that the following might improve for you: a stronger immune system, improved digestion, improved energy from the production of vitamin B12, which is also produced in us as humans, but just not enough. Better breath even, because probiotics can destroy candida, which is like a yeast overgrowth, which many people have. Healthier skin, reduce cold and flu incidences, healing from leaky gut syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, and maybe even some weight loss. In fact, some new studies underway may prove soon enough that probiotics can in fact reduce flus and colds, reduce overuse of antibiotics, treat kidney stones, treat colic, prevent cavities and gum disease, treat colitis and Crohn's disease, combat antibiotic-resistant bacteria, treat liver disease, battle cancer, manage autism, lower cholesterol, fight bacteria that causes ulcers, improve acne, lose weight. And if you haven't heard of it already, maybe you might have done this idea of fecal transplants, whereby the healthy gut of one person, taken from the feces of that person, is implanted into maybe an unhealthy person, and it has treated many different types of causes, from like weight loss and other maybe autoimmune diseases. So you're going to hear more about fecal transplants, I'm sure, in the next sort of 5-10 years when it becomes a bit more mainstream. But this is all about the gut. The gut is super important, so we need to really be looking after it. So here are some things that can affect your gut and the probiotics, the good bacteria in your gut. Prescription antibiotics, which whether that's taken because you're ill or whether that's taken through the ingestion of animal products. Sugar, tap water, GMO, genetically modified organism foods, grains, emotional stress, chemicals and medications. These can all affect your gut biome, as well as processed foods and a number of other things. So there's a lot against us, really, is the bottom line. So for me personally, I'm taking some probiotics. It's probably a good idea to rotate different brands, different strands, cycle on, cycle off, maybe not taking day in, day out for the rest of your life, but mix it up a little bit. So look into probiotics if you're not already doing that, and be well. The next thing I've been taking for the last couple of years, or more actually, about 3 years, is a magnesium supplement. Magnesium is super important, and it's reported that maybe 80% or more of the general population is deficient in magnesium. But it's often not diagnosed properly because it doesn't really show up in blood tests, because only 1% of the body's magnesium is stored in the blood. But magnesium is needed for over 300, I think it's 325 bioreactions in the body. Basically, that means if you don't have enough magnesium in your system, there are over 300 things that your body should be doing that it's not doing well, or maybe not doing at all in some cases, but not doing optimally. So why, again, do we need to supplement with it? Shouldn't we be able to get it all from food? Yes, we should, but the fact is, like I said, we're not getting as much food quality as we maybe once did, and our modern lifestyle, modern stresses do mean that magnesium, which is used up when effectively we get stressed, is used up more. The blood needs magnesium to be constant so that it can supply the cofactors needed for enzymatic reactions in the body. And like I said, we're not getting enough magnesium, so we're not able to cope with things that are going on in our life, so we're using up more magnesium. Things like agrobusiness, monocropping, has all impacted the quality and the amount of magnesium that we're getting. We need to have more leafy greens, more green foods, chlorophyll-rich foods. This is where we'll get the magnesium that our brain needs so much of. So we need to look at magnesium supplementation. You know, magnesium is needed for things like your cardiovascular system, your digestive system, your nervous system, the muscles, kidneys, liver, hormone secreting glands, the brain. They all rely on this mineral to accomplish even the most basic of their tasks. And some scientists are believing now that magnesium also may play an important role in preventing and treating dozens of health conditions, like including asthma, autism, heart disease, epilepsy, HIV and AIDS, multiple sclerosis, PMS, lupus. Okay, so it's super important for our nervous system, our heart rate, blood pressure, brain function. And the body will start to pull magnesium from other places as well if it needs it for more important things. So it might start pulling it from the bones, it might start pulling it from the tissues. Magnesium is also there for the production, the transfer of energy. It modulates electrical impulses across your cell membranes. And there needs to be that calcium-magnesium balance for bone health that we talked about a little bit earlier. So calcium will leach out the bones if there's not a proper balance there. It's also used for muscle contraction and relaxation. And you'll find actually when you use magnesium or have like an Epsom salt bath, then your muscles, if they had a hard workout that day, are going to be feeling so much better the next day. I mean, I went cycling last summer. I barely did any stretching. I don't think I did any stretching actually after like these 80, 100 mile cycles. I sprayed copious amounts of magnesium on my legs and the next day I had no issues whatsoever. So I take it topically rather than ingesting it. It doesn't have to then go through the kidneys and most of it getting the kidneys getting overworked with trying to filter it all out and most of it not going to the places you need. This you can spray directly to the places you need. It can go transdermally through your skin right into the bloodstream where it's needed. And doesn't tax the kidneys. So my recommendation is to put it on topically via the skin before you go to bed, because it will also help induce relaxed and restful sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping as well, obviously do all the sleep hygiene things like low lights and no TV and no tablets and phones and anything in the bedroom and shutting off an hour before bed. Do all of that stuff first, but also take some magnesium on your body and notice the difference. Next up, I take an omega-3 supplement. It's an EPA and DHA supplement because again, if you are vegan, most people will get their omega-3 through fish. Now there are issues with fish, specifically around the mercury. I think almost all fish, even if they're like the smallest fish or whatever, have quite a high level of toxicity. And so I'm not convinced about the fish, but also where do you think the fish get their kind of omega-3s from? They get it from the algae. So my advice is bypass the middleman and go straight to the source. But if you are vegan and you're thinking, well, I get enough omega-3 from my nuts and seeds, yes, you do, but you get the omega-3 called ALA, alpha-linoleic acid, which can convert to EPA and DHA, which I think are going to be proven to be the more useful and beneficial forms that you need for brain health and general health. But a lot of people can't convert it that well, and I think even if you are converting it, it may be like a 47:1 ratio, so it's not very high. So my advice, get the EPA, DHA, get a plant-based source if you are plant-based of an omega-3. So I think most people know that omega-3s are good for them. Why are they good? They're good for brain development, they're good for your heart health, they're good for rheumatoid arthritis, they're good for joints, they're good for depression, anxiety, asthma, ADHD, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, eye health, helps fight inflammation as well, autoimmune diseases, helps prevent mental decline, things like Alzheimer's, possible cancer reduction risk as well, improve sleep and improve skin, and a whole host of other things which I'm sure I've forgotten. So definitely omega-3, my recommendation is you get it in there. If you're having fish a couple of times a week and it's clean, it's like, you know, line caught, not mercury contaminated, but I know plenty of people, or I've heard, especially, I mean, if you're familiar with Tony Robbins, he had got massive mercury poisoning now because he was just having like fish constantly for years and years, and it's really screwed him up effectively. So I don't want that to happen to you. I would really watch the mercury in fish. They are a good source of omega-3 if you fancy eating things like that. But even if you do, you don't, my suggestion is get a plant-based source of omega-3 and EPA, DHA combo. ALA you can get from nuts and seeds, so I wouldn't worry about that, just have a few of those. But that is the other supplement I take. And then lastly, we have this thing, and this is called grapefruit seed extract. This is a liquid. I actually just drop about 12 drops into my juice each day. You can have it in water, but it does taste pretty rancid. In the juice, you don't really notice it. It is an antimicrobial, antibacterial supplement. It can help fight off infections. In fact, it's when I got recommended this, in fact, the person that recommended me say, you know, she had never had a cold since like kind of starting to take this, and I've got to say, I'm not sure if I have either. And it's super good as an anti-candida, antifungal. It can help kill antibiotic-resistant urinary tract infections if you have one. It can remedy fungal infections. It relieves athlete's foot and nail fungus. It can treat digestive disturbances associated with eczema, and it works as a general antimicrobial. So that's basically why I take it, because it's good for you overall. So a few drops in there. This will last months as well, and that's the last one I take. So just to recap with what I have the vitamin D3, I take vitamin B12, I take a probiotic, I take a B complex vitamin, I take the omega-3s, I take a magnesium supplement, and a grapefruit seed extract. So looking at that, that sounds and feels like quite a lot of stuff, I'll admit. But there are people that take way more, there are people that take way less. I guess my question to anyone is, how do you feel? And if you feel great, great. If you had your blood tested and everything's hunky-dory, keep doing what you're doing. But I would, if nothing else, use this video as a prompt and a guide to do some of your own research into it. Like I say, things like vitamin D3, almost every single person will be deficient in that, especially if you're watching it in the northern hemisphere. But even if you're at the equator and you're not getting enough sunshine each day, you're going to be deficient. Most people are going to be deficient in an omega-3 or have a really high ratio of omega-6 and 9s because of all the crappy foods and fats that we've got in there. Most people are going to be deficient in magnesium. Most people are going to need a good probiotic. Possibly the B supplements, the grapefruit seed extract you might want to pass on, but I would say the omegas, the vitamin D, the probiotics, magnesium, chances are, I'd say there's a 90% likelihood that if you're watching this, you're probably going to need at least those. Maybe everyone is different, they're going to need different supplementation. Maybe you might need iron, maybe you might need something else. But I wouldn't close the door to supplementation. I wouldn't be thinking, well, I should get all my supplements from food and they're there and therefore I'm not going to do it. Or, you know, if you're like vegan and you're like, well, I'm here to prove that the vegan diet is best and we don't need any supplements to be vegan and be happy, and I'm just going to destroy my body because I'm just going to stick my heels in the ground. That's not very smart either. Like I say, it might change in the future what I do, and it probably will, because I'm constantly evolving and my body's constantly changing, has different needs as well. This is what I currently take, and drop me any questions if you're interested. But like I say, I'm not the medical expert here. I'm not telling you what you should and shouldn't take, but I'm just inviting you to explore the idea that possibly supplements could be beneficial. And certainly if you're not getting at least 10 portions of veg a day, then you're going to be deficient. My advice would be don't have the 5 portions or 3 portions go, well, I'm going to supplement. My advice would be aim for at least 10 portions of veg a day regardless, and then look at supplementation. It's called supplementation, not substitution, for a reason, so use it for that purpose. Apologies, it's been quite a long video. I felt it was quite important to really go through in a bit more detail about the supplements I take and why. If nothing else, when people ask me, I now have a blog post and a video that I can direct them to, so thank you for that. But other than that, remember, supplement, don't supplement, but whatever you do, until next time, subscribe and stay strong. Stay strong.